for Awake It's Your Turn with Sharon and
Okay.
Lena Bob. Good morning, everybody. And how are we all doing this morning? Ready for another bright and sunny Christmas Eve?
I love this time. I mean, I like it because I'm in. If I was out, it's a cozy time when you have your electric blanket on and you just sit with it.
Oh yeah. Oh man, yeah, you sent me that electric blanket. I love that thing. It is so nice.
I use it all the time.
All right.
Okay, so here I am. I'm going to go with the majority of the subsequent book will be descriptions of the specific shifts that occur after awakening, how to avoid the pitfalls that prevent them. There will be a discussion of how and when to apply certain inquiries specific to those shifts, insight, and understanding. As I mentioned, most of these techniques and inquiry points are included in this book. I just don't always go into great detail about how and when to apply them at later stages. There is a chapter included in the book called Stages of the Awakening that also references these later transformations. In addition, there will be a brief chapter covering post awakening guidance, describing basic practice approaches to those later stages of realization. If you take the time to apply the various techniques, inquiries, and investigations in this book as you read through it, you will undergo a radical transformation. If you read it from cover to cover and don't take the time to apply anything you read, you will get far less out of it. I would suggest reading a little at a time and applying what you've read. If I were to prescribe a ratio, I'd suggest 5% reading and 95% putting what you've read into practice. As an example, you would read one section per week and then I like this, sit with, contemplate, or apply what you've read before moving on. I also want to say a word about repetition. You will undoubtedly notice certain themes and motives being repeated at various times and in different contexts as you move through the book. This is purposeful. There are distortions in the way we process our experience that are rather insidious. I know from experience that we all have to readdress them multiple times and from different angles to really get under them, as they tend to reassert themselves in our perception. If you recognize this repetition, then you have the opportunity to address these distortions at a deepest level each time they are pointed out.
This is interesting. I know his thought here that uh, first we read a section and really contemplate it because the way we distort the things that we read, if we don't go back and look at it, if we just take it at the first pass and then just move on, maybe we have some ideas that are mistaken in the beginning that don't get corrected. And so we read on the next one and we have forgotten what it was, the purpose of it. And so we're reading something different. But if we look at it and look at it from different angles, which is how we operate here in this room, right? You know, when we read the course, we don't just read the course and then move on. We all look at it with different angles and see it from our own points of view, talk about our experiences, talk about how it's been presented to us in the past, things that we've seen and done. And then we get a fuller understanding of what it is so that the next thing we read is going to be landing in the right place rather than landing at a place that's a misperception.
Right. Now, let me ask you, now I forgot what I was going to say. It'll come back. But um, Spirit has always been in our mind because we're in a split mind, but it wasn't awake, right? That's what's really waking up, spirit, because that's all that's here, right? I'm asking a question.
Right. Well, spirit is awake. Go ahead. Sorry.
Spirit is not awake when we're children. I mean, it can be, but it's sleeping like every part of our mind. And then when we start to awaken, spirit wakes up and the ego starts to eventually surrender, like just kind of just blend. What Daniel Shea calls it is, I forget. Some people call it ego relaxation. Some people call it balanced ego. You're balancing the mind. How do you see that? Because discussions are important when we read this stuff.
Right. And yeah, I don't know, because I think what it is that I think spirit is awake early, right from the beginning, but we cloud it with all the our garbage. And so we get mistaken, we get caught up in these mistaken ideas that the world teaches us, like that we're a body, and that becomes our overwhelming belief system. And so
Right,
because we're taught when we're first born, there's none of the ego I mean, there is enough of the ego operating to make the body work, but there's not enough of the ego operating to make me have an opinion about God or opinion about politics or mom or dad or any. I don't have any opinions when I'm born, uh, other than maybe it's cold or I'm hungry. But those are more body function instincts. It's not
yeah,
until
but
the
Ken
body,
would often talk about right-mindedness. Like, in other words, nicer people have more right-mindedness than they do wrong-mindedness. So we have something. Our disposition isn't just totally egoic, because ego is just a judger.
right? So we're born with right-mindedness, and we
Right,
learn wrong-mindedness. Is the way and from the first time they say this is your mommy and this is your daddy, and you are a person and you are a girl and you are a boy, and you are Russian or you are Irish, or we all
right,
those are all the things that get put on us that that build the wrong mind.
right.
So we come in with the right mind, with the
Yeah,
spirit, and then it's covered over by all the wrong-minded things that the world teaches us. So then as we become, the more we get indoctrinated into the world thinking, the more we believe that it's the truth in reality. But that and that will go on, even though we have suspicions, even though as a small child, that's not right. People shouldn't talk that way. This is not loving. This is not kind. And you recognize when things are not right-minded. But because of the influence of the society and the world telling you, yes, but we have to reject those people because they are going to take away your life, your job, your whatever. You have to be upset about this thing because, and then we build our mind with all these exceptions to why things are not good. That's the problem, is that we change our mind from seeing everything as being perfect, because when you're first born you don't know until you believe that everything is wrong. And then, and you believe that some things are right and some things are wrong. And then that forms your whole personality. So what we're doing, starting from the very first lesson of A Course in Miracles, nothing I see here means anything. We're taking ourselves back to that original mind of spirit that is the truth of what we are. And so that's why it's so hard. We keep doing the lessons over and over and over and trying to overcome the story that the world has told us from the beginning. And it would take a whole lifetime. Some people get it earlier, but maybe they got it before and they just came back to finish up a few things or whatever. I don't know about any
it's
of
not
that.
personal; it's impersonal. So,
Right. Yeah.
so it really doesn't matter. Nobody. It's all happening. It's what Carl Jung's thing is when I brought that in. It's all happening through us.
Yes,
We're doing nothing.
exactly, exactly. So, so
Even the
yeah,
people that we don't like are being lived too. Everybody's being lived by the divine will.
right, right. And they're all reflecting to us these stories that we've told ourselves our whole life. And here we get to pick and choose now, which of it do I want to believe? That's why it's so hard, because when everything you ever trusted turns out to be false, then you know you're going to have to find another point of balance. And so this is why, the Holy Spirit, just gets you in a place where you have to make a choice all the time. And so that's, I think, what he's talking about here, that we are being given opportunities over and over to readdress these distortions in our mind, so that once we can see that they're distortions, we can let them go. But as long as we think that this is what's the real thing, okay, my mom told me this. Santa Claus does exist. Don't tell me he doesn't. Then
Right.
you're going to be pissed when you find out you've been fooled.
I don't
Which
know
is
what
what,
I felt like when I realized Santa Claus. I don't know.
yeah, I know, but I can remember exactly when I recognized it, but nobody told me. I just knew it. I was just like, oh, I just knew it. And then I said, oh, I think you and Daddy are Santa Claus. And my mom was like, she cried. It's like, yeah,
She gave up her fairy tale.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But then Lynn Castaldo was talking yesterday, and she said, she told her daughter at a certain age that Santa wasn't real, and her daughter has really never forgiven her for that. It broke her heart. Mom told her that. She said, I wasn't ready to hear that. So she was asking, when do we tell the little ones that Santa doesn't exist? I said, we don't till they find it out
Yeah,
themselves.
they find it out themselves.
Kids at school.
It's funny because look at our process. We go into this world and we find out as children Santa doesn't exist. And then we grow into our human experience. And then we are coming back to who we really are. So we're no longer, and finding out that we were never real too, that the person was never real. It's
Right.
like the same story. It's like every story. If you look at what consciousness did a great job in this movie. It really did. I mean, it's like because it seems so real. But when we start to break things down, like for what he's saying here, my feeling is that we wake up by grace. We don't wake up by anything that we do. So by reading this book, you can apply it. But again, if you're not applying it, it means you're not supposed to. Because if you were supposed to, you would be given that.
Exactly.
So there's no point. You don't need to try. Like, you know how we always, when you're in the ego, you got to try, try, try. There's no trying here. This is about allowing. This is about doing nothing. That's basically, if I don't know, because you have to kind of be like have a call from within to even get this because it's not something people pick up unless they're meant to pick up. So,
Right, right. Yeah, exactly. And there are people that just go through life never thinking about any of this. And
yeah, and it's not their doing, it's just the way it is. It just,
yeah, well, and the fact, here's what I've been thinking, Sharon, is that because there are not really any other people out there. And so all of those people that I put out there
yeah, you're
that are
right.
like
Yeah.
mindless, those are just my own projections.
Yeah, they're
I
your own
was thinking about
projections.
that last night because when I was talking to my other daughter about my kids, my son and his family all having COVID. And uh, she was like, I'm so, I'm scared, and she's thinking, Mom, what will we do, when you die? And I was thinking, you won't be here anymore.
Well, you won't, yeah, but she will for you're saying you won't be here anymore, but she'll we this is something that I shared, I think, with Gloria. Like when we died, does the whole dream just die too? Or did people, because we think that this is real and that they're all going to go on living, but why would they die with us? Why would they?
Because they don't live. They're not alive.
They're
They're not
just
even really out
projections,
there.
right?
They're just in my mind. Why would they, when you turn off the TV, hi Odsy with their little TV there. When you turn off the TV, where does the
Oh,
picture
look
go?
who's here. Otsy's here. Yay. Okay. I love that little TV.
I know I've been seeing people show up with that little TV. It's cute. But yeah, I think that's what I think. I honestly believe that when I'm gone, you'll be gone too because there's no you.
Yeah, there's no, because you're projecting them. Yeah. So we
So
don't have
yeah,
to cry that our kids will be all right. They'll be all right. They just died with us.
right. They never lived.
They
That they've
never
been a
will.
story in our mind the whole time.
Right.
That's the hard part of all this is coming to realize that none of this, nothing I see here is actually here. These are all the stories
They're
of my
nothing. They're actually like that's what Ken would constantly slam in us. You're fighting with nothing. Nothing.
life. Yeah, yeah. Punching out windmills, punching out paper bags. Dove keeps saying that you can't punch your way out of a paper bag. Yeah, because there's no paper bag.
Right.
This is just a story. So anyway, yeah. So
Well, I
let's go.
mean, do we know that that's true though? Because, who knows? Like maybe the world does continue for others.
Who knows? I don't know. I know that it doesn't continue for me, and therefore it doesn't exist.
Right.
Nothing I see here means anything. If I think it does, I'm the one who gave it all the meaning. I put it there. I think the horse is telling me that over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And I keep saying, yep, but it'll be here when I'm gone. No, it won't. This is all a big story. And it's only here because I'm projecting it out there. That's my, and it's really interesting. I was listening to Wayne Dyer last night.
I was too. That's weird.
Were you listening on the radio? I was playing them on,
No,
uh,
I was listening in my books. I have so many books.
that's what I was saying. I have all these Audible books. I need to be playing those. So that's what I did was I put on an Audible book and
I
played it.
have so many.
Me too. And
I just,
I don't even subscribe to Audible anymore. I just listen to the books I have already.
I don't have to either.
Yeah. Because I'm not paying, I couldn't, it came to where I couldn't afford to pay it. It was like, I don't know what, $27 a month or something. I can't remember what it was, but I just went through all my stuff and said everything I don't necessarily need is gone. So I got rid of all these. I haven't missed it a bit because I have still
Well,
all
you
those
can always
books.
go back on it. It's just,
Right, exactly. And plus, other people have sent me their I could log into Susie's or I could log into Prudence's and listen to their things all day. So even though I only have like 100 and some on mine, there's a lot there. There's so many available out there. So
right.
anyway, but I was listening to Wayne Dyer, and what was the point I was going to make about it? I
I,
forget.
I love all his stuff. Do you know when you listen to his stuff again, it's even better when you study A Course in Miracles. Like everything becomes more alive. Like he was a phenomenal teacher.
I know, I just loved him. He was absolutely.
He's one of the reasons I found this stuff. Him and Marianne.
Yeah, I listened to Wayne Dyer. I would, I think he was on PBS. Um, I listened to him a lot. So Marianne, I never listened to that much. I read that book along, like in 1993, Return to Love. I read that book, but I didn't pick up A Course in Miracles at the time, because I didn't have time. So
Right. Not when your kids are little. You're running around and God, when they're really little, it's crazy.
yeah. So, all right. So let us move on to
Yeah,
the
because maybe other people will share with me, like Deb is here.
yay.
So yeah, I mean, I love when people come in. It's going to be a cold winter, guys. We have a group of nine.
Good morning. And I love our ACIM Gather website, but it doesn't say Sharon's reading on Zoom. So that's why I'm a half an hour late. I said to myself, I'm just going to try and see if they're there.
Oh, it
Okay,
doesn't say that?
all
It
right.
says Sharon's reading, so I was listening on Pal Talk, and you didn't come on reading on Pal Talk either. And listen, this is not any of yours doing. I am always in a state of confusion, like I don't know what's going on.
You think
But
I'm
I'm
any different, Deb? If you talk to me, I'm telling you, I'm confused by the whole world right now. The world that doesn't exist. Lynn and I are having a very interesting conversation
I,
about the
I,
fact that,
yeah, and right away I want to jump in because, when you're talking about things like listening to Wayne Dyer and how it sounds even more relevant, that's
yeah,
about our awakening. That's about what's happening inside us personally, that we see it everywhere, that the truth is everywhere.
the truth is everywhere. Yeah, we've never, but
It's
it just makes,
within.
what
All right.
Lynn
I
shared
can
this
stick with
morning,
that.
which is so powerful. We're projecting our whole movie. So when I die, where would my family go but with me?
Oh, and remember what I mean, it was Myron Jones who was talking about Remmer's book, that man's book, and when he passed over and came back, he's alive. But when he crossed over, everyone was there.
Yeah.
And Brooklyn said that her passed on relative told her everyone's here. And that Myron even said that maybe we only incarnate into this dream world a small percentage of what we really are. And I'm kind of getting that, like, this oneness is everything. And of course, when I leave the body, the illusion of the world is going to leave it too. Like I can understand that when I no longer exist, it doesn't really exist. I don't know how I know that. It's just something that I can imagine is true. That it is such a dream, and waking up from the dream into the reality is just the awareness of dreaming, and it's a more peaceful place to accept all that happens in this, whatever we want to call it, incarnation, life. It doesn't really matter, because the essence of what we are is eternal and forever, like that I am. Anyway, I believe all this stuff, but I certainly have trouble living it every moment.
Thank
Well,
you.
I wouldn't even monitor how you're living it because you're really just undoing, and you
Yeah.
have always been who you are. And one of the things I think that the ego is doing now, at least for me, is it's talking up a storm,
Mm.
because we are going deeper. And so we can't take the responsibility of the ego. We're not the ego. The ego is running by itself.
I totally agree with you, Sharon. And that's finding you guys helped because I was so, and I wasn't doing it alone. Every being on the planet was doing it with me. But this idea that when I see my brother as my savior, I can feel that too. And I want to hold on to the grievances and have judgment and make complaints. And I was always rolling with it, with this complaining personality. And I tried to stop it on my own, and it is stopping. It is stopping because I'm choosing. And no, I am blessed beyond measure. And I know that God gave me this, like, whole kingdom in which to enjoy. It really is true when I surrender to the will of God. That is God's will, that I be joyous, that I be free, that I live
Yes.
eternally with Him. And all the little, I don't know anything about everyone else's story other than I can see an identity in it when you share. And what you're sharing is the essence of who you are. When we're telling our stories, when we're coming together, when we're talking, we're sharing that essence. And it is teaching in a sense, because we teach what we are, right? Anyway, I'm just so grateful, and Thank you all so, so much. And
I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you want to read it all, let me know because, and Ozzy too, I would love you to read because that's all we do on Tuesdays. We read 2 books. This one now, what Anthony's telling us to do is to kind of like contemplate what he's telling us to do. And I will say, like, there's a really good book I got. It's a course book, but it's probably the best one I've ever had. To contemplate. It's like I'm right now getting into more because when you contemplate, it goes deeper.
well, into the silence. Yeah.
And that's what he's saying right here. That's why he's saying, I want you to repeat this. I want you to read this. I want you to stop and contemplate what you're reading here rather than going from A to Z. So then, and what he says, if you when you read, you recognize that you are under, because you're already under the spell of the culture, you have a certain opinion about things. And he says, you need to just stop and look and then recognize the distortions that are in your mind already and then re-examine what you're studying. So he says, if you recognize this repetition, then you have the opportunity to address these distortions at a deeper level each time that they're pointed out.
Yeah, there's deep depth. There's a depth to this whole thing.
Right.
You know,
And that's
I
what we
was
do.
in that group, Helen's group, and a lot of people would say, well, if we're not anything, then why would it matter? How could you go deep? There's nothing else here. But we still have different levels of mind. And so, of course, we're going to go deeper. And we are going deeper. And then the ego will think we're failing when we mess up, but we're not messing up. The ego is. And that's what we have to really just be. The ego is going to do what it's going to do, but that's not who we are. We are the observer. We are observing all of this. Now, if you think I'm there, Deb, all the time, I am not. I'm not. I am not. I'm not. But I really am upping my game. I was telling you guys that I'm reading a book and I completely forgot because that's what keeps happening with me. I keep, in any case, or this is an audible. No wonder I can't find it. Okay. It's a course book. It's called An Advanced Study of A Course in Miracles. It is a fabulous, fabulous book if you want to go very deep, because what he did was this guy, his name, let me see what his name is. He pretty much, his name is Oliver Howard, and he is not well known, but the man took the book and he just gave you all the important parts. And what I'm doing now is like I'm taking parts of the book and sitting with it, like joy beyond form and function, and then just then going deep into the course quotes and the course, because what the deepening is that spirit is bringing us in a deeper way to the depths. But the complaining, I was a huge complainer. I'm just letting go of that now because my mind, that was ego, but I didn't, I kind of think I enjoyed complaining. I enjoyed being victim. I enjoyed not wanting to take responsibility. It sounds sick, but that's what we are. That's how terrified, at least for me, I am of love. Because, if I was really like so comfortable with that kind of all encompassing love, I wouldn't even be in this group.
Right.
you
Or
know?
you would be in this group because you experience it as all encompassing love, not because you take anything from it or need anything from it or learn
Right.
anything from it.
Well,
You're
I
just
do
there for
enjoy it though.
love.
I get a lot from, I think the beauty of a group is we're really not alone. We're in this sonship. And so when we're in the group, we're getting fed by our brothers, which are all inside. They're not outside. Outside, we are alone. But inside, we're not. We're with all the sons. And
Exactly.
even that isn't even true.
Yeah, but it's truer than the other. It is
Right.
truer than the other, and that's why and I love that we can depend on each other for that and to help each other out to see
Yeah.
things differently. I see Ozzy has posted something in the chat, and I'm
Okay.
wondering if maybe you, Sharon, or Deb would like to read this
I'll
because
read it.
read, beautiful.
Okay. When you're experiencing a up of clarity, peace, motivation, and successful practice, remain humble and non-attached. When you're experiencing a down of confusion, restlessness, and scattered practice, remain open and non-resistant. Don't be swayed by the ups and downs. Remain even-minded in both. Maintain. Wait, where did I get that? Where'd that word go? Maintain. It went all the way up. Wait. Then, okay. God, regardless of what mask it wears, the ups and downs of this journey themselves teach us the real meaning of surrender. Also, by observing these changing states of mind, we come to see that what the mind projects cannot be trusted. Today we feel bad, tomorrow we feel good, then we feel bad again. Emotions and mental projections are unstable and do not deserve our identification. Keep observing change and place your trust, sense of self, and reality in only that which does not change. That's beautiful. I don't know if I read it clearly because I chopped up. Did you write that, Ozzy?
No, that's from Sunny Sharma. Every day he sends a little blurb, and this was yesterday's, and I've been having a lot of trouble just reading even. So I like I've even been using read aloud for emails and stuff because I just can't even concentrate. Like
I know.
my brain is frying
No.
AIDS or something crazy. But yeah,
Go very slow. Just, but I do know what you're saying. I'm sorry. I
Do
can't
you
tell.
think
I'm
it's part
quiet
of the
again.
awakening, Ozzy?
well, I do. I think
Yeah, I do
it's
too.
my brain trying to distract me from being here now and ultimately seeing truth, like
Yeah, I think you're right.
ultimately waking up.
Yeah, you're right. The brain it's the ego. It's just like, but you know how the Course says we need do nothing. The Course says that only because it's a book that takes us through the mitigation of guilt, because what otherwise we would just be waking up without any kind of help. The Course mitigates the guilt. It keeps it at bay because it gives us things to do, but it's also a book that will dislodge all of these concepts again eventually. But it doesn't happen in our time. As we always know, it happens in God's time. And so even though there's no time, and it's kind of like, the best place I could say that I'm at when I'm really feeling good is when I don't know one thing. When I don't know one thing. How could we know anything? Think about it. How could we know even what we are when we thought we were just these people and that God was out there? So we're wrong about everything.
We're wrong about everything. Yeah. Yeah.
And we wanted to be right because in an egoic bodysuit, we really do want to be right. Oh, Ozzy, please share. I would love to hear you.
Okay. Well, I think one thing that's really been deepening for me is that whole circular thing you're just talking about. And I'm starting to stop it. Well, I'm not stopping anything. What is coming to mind more and more for me is it's not real, like Lynn just said, but the world isn't real. And that's where I know I've been level confused, which is what the ego does, but I feel like that's coming closer, that understanding, that fuller understanding, because sometimes I have these thoughts of, well, what if you're faced with, you have to do this in life to save Ash, your kid, or and what would you do? And I said, or if you had the choice to save them or wake up, what would you do? To save the world? Or, and I'm like, wake up, wake up. There's nothing here for me to save. And that makes me understand why I'm so discontent when there's nothing even wrong here. I don't even feel like I have any problems in this life, so to speak. But why is this person so unsettled, unfulfilled? It's because nothing in this world can make this whole, can make it whole, because I think I'm separate from whole. I really am starting to believe that, which is further from just sort of saying, oh, the world's not real. So that's exciting, I guess. But yeah, thanks for letting me share that.
No, it's like we're getting to a point where we really are looking at everything and saying, it's what Lynn started out this morning. It was perfect. She said, when we go, the whole story goes too. So we know nothing. We don't know if our kids are like, I think, oh, my kids will be so sad when I leave. Well, they're not there. They're just me.
Yeah, they're the kids that you made sad in your
Right.
walk. I mean, that's it. I made my kid to be sad for me. I made my
Right.
to miss
Right.
me. I made my husband to not be able to survive without me. Oh my God, what will happen? He will starve. I made all that up. And he's perfectly fine. They're perfectly fine. They're all in their own little world that has nothing to do
With us, yeah.
with us. And we're all living all these lives simultaneously. We're all living all the lives simultaneously. It doesn't exist. It doesn't even work without us. It couldn't
Right.
be.
I mean, there really is nothing. This is like we took, let me speak for myself. I really took so much. Well, you all did because you were all the same. We take so much like pride in being these people, not pride so much as just being responsible, getting it right, looking good. And who were we doing it for? There was nobody there.
Yeah, us. I'm looking good for me.
Yeah.
I'm being smart for me. I'm being
Well, I'm
kind for
going
me.
to start to read more because we haven't read
Okay.
enough of this. So,
All right.
I know that here, go to the next. As you begin to navigate this process, it can be tempting to get overly excited about learning everything about what comes later, such as the more advanced aspects of awakening. This enthusiasm is natural and simply a part of the process. However, I want to caution you that a healthy appreciation for fundamentals remains important throughout. Even at later stages of realization, much of what I discuss with people and the ways I guide them are similar to what I discuss with beginners. Moreover, the most confusing and tricky places I've seen people get themselves stuck have to go with overlooking something foundational. Losing sight of the basics can become quite a hindrance if not addressed. I'll use the analogy of building a house. If the foundation is complete and structurally sound, it will be sturdy, functional, long-lasting house. As others aspects of the construction are addressed, it is always a good idea to return to and inspect the foundation on occasion. This is especially true if you have some trouble in later stages of the construction process. It's always possible that some part of the foundation has been damaged or was overlooked initially, and addressing that will make further construction go much smoother. Now, what he's doing here, you have to have a certain kind of ego to get, because I mean, I'm neurodivergent, so I can't sit there and go like everything that he's writing here. I think it's happening, at least for me, any progress I've made, it's happened by itself. Spirit is doing that. Do you see what I'm saying, Lynn? Like these are directions on how to wake up. I used to
Right.
go to groups they would teach that. I just don't think anyone can teach this. I just don't.
Well, I think what he's saying here though is, and I've seen this happen over and over again with me as all other students. You go through and you're like, you know, what about this and what about that? And what does the course mean about this and that? And then, but then you got to get back to, there is no world. That's
Yeah,
the
you have to come
primary thing
back
you
to the
have to
fact that
know.
what is the big deal? Like we made a big deal out of, well, I'm not saying we, I'll say I made a big deal about waking up. It was the most,
Right.
and what Ozzy is like sharing, I've had a problem with reading, so I do audible and reading.
Yeah.
Now that's the neurodivergent brain. But the thing is, I don't really think, I always knew inside that I have nothing to do with waking up, Sharon. It's the
Right.
mind, and it's the split mind, and the gaps close when you don't give it attention. But let me say this, there have been people that have completely woken up and never, ever opened one of these books.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
I don't believe, I think that they may have uh woken up to some extent,
Well,
but
here's the thing, the collision with the infinite, Lynn, I sent you that because I'd asked if you got it.
right.
That is a book that everybody here would love because she was in TM. So she did TM for a couple years. Then
And you
she
know
let
what?
it
That was
go.
enough. That was enough.
The
Just
collision
being
with the infinite.
dedicated to doing TM for a couple of years is enough to wake you up.
Yeah, I mean, she had something, but she didn't even think about it when it was happening. She lost the she didn't lose the lower ego because she had a lot of fear. So the lower ego is all fear. So she didn't lose all of the ego, but a lot of it she did. And it's just interesting because there's other people too that have had awakenings. What I'm trying to say is the very fact that people think they have to do something is the problem.
Yeah. But what I, okay, so, and I understand what you're saying. She didn't think she did anything. Richard Kars, who Perfect
Yes,
Book
Richard Course.
Stillness,
I had that
out
book.
of
Yeah.
nowhere. This just happened. Hell no, you were down in the jungles in South America doing DMT with shamans, and you were doing lots of stuff. Or Jan Fraser. Oh, I don't know how this just happened. I just woke up and fear
Right,
felt
you're right,
like,
because she did go to that teacher
yeah,
for
she
years. Yeah,
was with a teacher for years.
yeah.
So, you know,
And I'm saying we don't have to in Awakening Together, they teach it a little differently, somewhat like he does, where there's actually an art to waking up. I don't believe that. I believe we wake up the way we wake up. I love all of the things. I went to Helen Hamilton. I love Helen Hamilton, but I left because I realized I have to count on my inner teacher, period. And if I can't count on my inner teacher, then I don't want to do it.
yeah,
So I have been counting on that. I still go to things, but you can't teach this. This is an organic process. It's happening. It's impersonal and organic.
right. And it's here from, I mean, you have your whole life been coming to this place where you are right now. I mean, it's just, I mean,
Your
this
whole
is,
life, right? Not just like from any group.
yeah,
It's like it's in the script. It's in the
it's
script.
in the
Now,
script.
it can make
Exactly.
you crazy when people are trying to correct you in this stuff because first of all, how could you ever correct another person when you can only see your own mind? You
Yeah,
can never see someone else's mind.
you're right. That's hilarious. And the thing is that, um, you know, the reason we're reading this and talking about this is because because it's in the script. Yes, you're absolutely right. And it was written in the script. It says right in the course at the very beginning, at the tiny mad idea, you came together and said, we're going to do this. And this is what we've been doing all the entire whatever of the universe is coming to this place where we are right now because we couldn't be in place else. And in this place where we are right now, we are the awakening ones. We're the what is it? The Joel calls them lamplighters. We are the ones
Yeah, I
who are
like that. I like,
who are opening
yeah.
so that the world can return to sanity. But
Mm.
that's not because I'm a good person and you are too. It's because that's what we decided a long time ago. It's a part of the script.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, that's true. It says it in NTI too. There's just one waking up, and we all voted on it.
Right.
Actually, if we want to really take responsibility, because I do a lot of Ho'oponopono, we're responsible for everything that happens, really, because there's only one of us here. So we
Yep.
want to clean our subconscious through the day. Now, when they say clean, I was taking it as if I had to clean constantly. No, you just clean on different, like, if you're watching your weight, you clean. If you're upset about something, you clean. You know,
Yep.
you don't. I mean, he's saying basically the teachings of Ho'oponopono is you do it, and it is correct. When I do it, I feel grace. I just feel great.
Yeah. Well, last night when my daughter called and said that they all had COVID, I started freaking out first. I started freaking out, the babies and all this. And then I'm like, oh my God, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And I cleaned and cleaned and cleaned
Right,
and
because you want to help yourself and her. Like it's just this cleaning that just, there's different things. There's also Rafi's thing is very good too. The letting go, the letting go. It seems like a lot of concepts when he talks, but the truth is, if you really can you let it go? When? Now, period. That's it. Can you let
yeah,
it go? When? Now. And you just realize that, and then you just kind of shift into the truth. But the shifting, I think, I did the course to feel better. I did the course to have peace. I didn't do it to awaken. I
right.
never even thought like that, because it's all about inner peace. Jesus never promises anything but the inner peace. Because we know that it's one that's waking up. And again, who wants to wake up? Only the ego. Only
Exactly.
ego wants to be special enough to wake up. It wants to be the best course student, the most liked, all of it. It's all ego.
That's right. Exactly.
We're losing it. All the different, I would boast about being an empath. That is the very thing the ego would like me to believe. So then I'm different. No, there's nobody different, because we're
Oh
all the
my,
same. We're not here. Whatever we have in our
right.
head is just nothing.
All that specialness is like, oh my
Well,
gosh.
there is an absolute addiction to specialness in the
Oh
mind.
yeah.
There
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah. And
Best mom, the best person, the best this, the best that. But
right.
anyway, let's get to okay. In the
Okay.
spirit, I
Well,
suggest returning.
okay. Hang
You
on
can
just a
tell he's a
second.
doctor, can't you? Tell he's a doctor just by the way he writes.
Yeah. We have about 5 minutes left.
Okay.
So what I'm thinking, we'll read another paragraph or so. But what I what I was thinking, when you were talking about Rafi, I don't think any time that Rafi ever asked me, well, can I let it go? I really meant, yeah, I'm gonna let it go. I'm usually saying, yeah, I can. I can. Sure, I can.
Well, you
Do
want
I
to
want to?
because it's garbage. It's
Yeah,
complete garbage.
I
Here's
don't
the
want
thing that I had. I had a lot of guilt around
yeah,
letting it go.
yeah, yeah.
Oh no, I can't let it go. It's my sister. That's my friend. That's my this.
Right. What will
And
they do without me?
yeah.
All
I
of the
mean, I'm thinking, should we do these books? Like, should we do the first? Because going from book to book can be a little much too. Maybe we should stay with Michael Singer's book for both morning, from 9:30 to 11:30, so we get the most out of it, and do this one after. What do you think?
um
I want them to vote too, because I would love
oh,
them to.
okay. Well, after this we do this, then we do
Michael
the
Singer.
Michael Singer book, and then we do chapter 15
That's a
with
lot. I mean,
yeah,
it's
I
all
know it's
saying
a
the
lot.
same thing, but this one here seems like it's I can't explain it. It's just written a little different. I'm not saying it's not great, but it's just a little different. That's all.
Yeah.
It's just that I think we join groups so we can join with people. But what I think that, and it helped me to have teachers, it really did. But when I realized that I wasn't trusting me, that was the biggest problem, you
Yeah.
know. And I still have issues about trusting me. It's still because to trust, it's not me, the Sharon, it's me, the spirit that I have to trust. And Dove's right. Trust would settle everything.
Well, and it would, because then you wouldn't have a belief in anything anymore. If you
Right.
were in trust, you had no fear.
Yeah,
It
you're
would
right about
it
that. You're
it
right
would be
about that.
over. I realized that. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that's really so simple. It's all it's saying." If I'm trusting, I wouldn't be upset. I wouldn't be worried. I wouldn't be afraid. I would just be trusting along, happily going, So yeah, I love it. All right, so here's what I'm going to suggest. Let's go ahead and do this. I think maybe till the end of the hour to finish this section, and then go to the Michael Singer, because I'm really enjoying that as well. And he's doing the same thing. He's given us, here's better ways. Here's some things that
I know, but he writes it a little differently. I can't explain it. It's
it's a
just a
little bit
little.
of humor. He uses a lot of
They all
physical
ri-
science and
they
example.
all they all write in their own voice, which is
Yes,
what we're learning in the course.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
is our what is ours? What is
yeah.
ours? What
I
is
think
the
that's
truth?
what he's
What
saying. Yeah. I go to
exactly.
others when it's really you that needs, because it's only you. You're never with anyone else. We're just
So,
projections of.
but you're all my imaginary character friends, and I think you're amazing. I
Yeah,
have
I do
got the
too.
greatest mind in the world. I was able to come up with imaginary character friends that are so lovely and pleasant and sweet and kind and loving. And it just makes me feel so happy.
I
So,
I find I can laugh more with you all.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
the whole thing is, and that's always been true for Gather. Gather was because it was started by Doug. He would always say, "Never forget to laugh," because even in Gather, even though they fought in there, they were always. It was a lot of fun, wasn't it? Lynn? Like
Oh
we
my
laughed.
God.
I mean, it was like going out with your friends. It was so fun. It was on all the time. It was just a different time. I sometimes like, that's one of my issues, going back in the past and saying, oh, I love that. I love this, when in fact, there's no past. So there you go, Sharon.
Yeah. And I loved it too because it never stopped. And that's when Regina and I were first talking about going to Zoom and all the pros and cons of going to Zoom. And one of the big cons was that you couldn't do it all the time like you could with Pal Talk. And I really fought for that. I really wanted to keep something that was going on all the time. Um, and that's why I think the YouTube channel at least gives more opportunity for people to come and join, whether they can actually be here at the time or not. So, and the radio is always on, but of course there's not always people talking. So, there's so much to it. But
Well, I want to appeal to the people here. So, what would you like, guys? Like, as far as, do you want to? Because I think what if Ozzy could get on at this time? She's saying Andrew Delulu would like to read. That's good too. Like, but the constant moving from this book to this book kind of gets mushy. But it is saying the same thing,
well, that's what we're reading now,
right?
Angelo
It's up
Delulu.
to everybody else. I'll go along with whatever everybody wants. I just like when people join. That's my whole point.
So yeah, well, let's finish this um paragraph or this
I
section.
love what Audrey wrote. She wrote, um, "Since this worked for me, it won't work for you. I like the variety. I would like to read this book." And okay, all right, Audrey, then we'll do that. Okay,
Thank you
just
for coming in there. All
yeah, we
right.
need input here, but try to get here if you can. If you can't, you can't. But it's holiday season, so most of us are home. At least I am, anyway. So.
All right. So, oh, you want to read?
Where do I change? In the spirit, I suggest returning to this and the other foundational chapters on occasion. The purpose of doing this is twofold. First, you can be sure the foundation of your understanding and practice is intact and that nothing big has been overlooked. Second, by returning to the basics at various times throughout the realization process, you will gain a deeper understanding than you gleaned on the previous reading. This will cultivate a refinement in experiential insight. You will incorporate things at a more subtle level each time you return and remind yourself of the basic orientations. You might be surprised when, having read something 5 times, it suddenly stands off the page and hits you at a very deep level. That is what's happening. Audrey, do you want to read? If
Oh,
you
I
want to,
was just going to have Angelo read, but I think I need to have permission for more than one person to share, or else I will knock off Lynn.
Oh, you have the
Oh,
book, the audio book?
yeah, I was just gonna play on I was at the spot.
I have it
Oh
too,
my,
but I can't find it. It was on something and I bought it a long
Sure.
time ago.
Well, let's let Ozzy play
She
him
knows
read.
how to do it. Yeah, let her
Yeah,
redo it.
okay. All right, I'm gonna
I would
stop the
love
share.
that.
And we're just gonna go to the end of this section, so up to one-on-one conversion,
I
so.
heard you say that so many times, but whatever reason, this time it hit me differently. That's all. Okay, yeah, Ozzy, whatever you want to do. I like just getting together, and I like being in the oneness, just being connected in the sonship. You know what's so funny, girls?
In this spirit, I suggest
Who was that? Oh, that was
Oh,
Angela.
that's Angelo, yeah.
Okay.
returning to this and the other foundational chapters on occasion. The purpose of doing this is twofold. First, you can be sure the foundation of your understanding and practice is intact and that nothing big has been overlooked. Second, by returning to the basics at various times throughout the realization process, you will gain a deeper understanding than you gleaned on the previous reading. This will cultivate a refinement in experiential insight. You will incorporate things at a more subtle level each time you return and remind yourself of the basic orientations. You might be surprised when, having read something 5 times, it suddenly stands off the page and hits you at a very deep level. What was previously an intellectual understanding suddenly becomes a profound living insight. This has happened to me more times than I can count. If I had a nickel for every time someone said to me, "I've heard you say that so many times, but for whatever reason, this time it hit me differently and changed everything." A one-on-one conversation. As you have probably gathered, the writing style of this book will be in the form of a one-on-one conversation. I'm speaking directly to you and solely for your benefit. I have no interest in philosophical discussions, especially about spirituality or enlightenment. I am only interested in what works. As I mentioned in the first chapter, this book grew out of one-on-one conversations with various people in the process of awakening. Now you are in on the conversation. As I write, this feels exactly how it does when I'm working closely with an individual who is going through this process. This is not meant to be topical, textbookish, or even instructional. It is a catalytic transmission. I'm giving you everything I've got. For the moment only. I always teach in the immediate. When I'm working with someone, I don't concern myself with where they are in the realization process or a specific trajectory. In this way, the teaching can be immediate and not loaded with preconceived ideas of where someone is coming from and where they're headed. Hence, the exchange is intuitive, instant, and fully in the present. It is a dynamic process and tends to change quickly and often. I will commonly say, "Don't worry about anything I've said before. It has no value here. I'm only concerned with what is immediately available and in direct experience for you right now." I urge you to treat everything you read in this book in the same way. If you're reading something, then give it your full attention. Don't worry about trying to fit it into a paradigm with some other portion of the teaching. Instead, let it permeate you. Let it sink into your depths. Let it germinate inside you and find its own fruition. Let every suggestion, inquiry, and investigation stand on its own and reveal its own intelligence as a living experience in that moment. Even if you've read something before and are tempted to gloss over it, thinking, "Oh, I know this," try to remind yourself to read it with fresh eyes. Let it be the first time you have read it once more. Let it be the only thing you are concerned with in that moment. Let it fill up the moment. Let that moment fill up all of your senses. then let it go completely. Don't hold on. Don't collect information or strategies. Just allow and embrace whatever comes next.
All right. Thank you so much, Ozzy, for playing that. Wow. I'm marking the book right where we are, so that we can restart. It's great to hear his voice. He's so young. He just seems so young to me. But that was wonderful. And it saved my voice, that's for sure. All right. Anybody have any thoughts before we close this section out? We'll move on to the next book that we're reading uh, in a separate YouTube. So if you're watching us on YouTube now, I see there's some folks. There's another live coming up in just a moment. Anybody else have anything they want to say before we close out? Sharon, Ozzy, it was so funny to hear him. Oh, you do it at a lower speed. Okay. I've seen him on YouTube videos, but I should play some of those sometime as well. All right. Well, thanks, you guys. I love you all so much. I'm going to go ahead and close out this YouTube. If you are watching on, um, okay, cool. If you are watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe so that you'll get notifications next time we're on.